The South African Social Security Agency has been accused of deliberately declining COVID-19 grant applications. But SASSA says it's merely rejected non-qualifying grant applications. That special grant has been formulated to help those without an income during the COVID-19 pandemic. So far, 3.2 million applicants have been approved, 1.2 million have been paid out. Let's get some clarity on this issue. We're joined now by SASSA CEO Totsi Memela via our video line. Good morning, Totsi. Thanks very much for your time. I think once and for all, let's get some clarity from you around the criteria for that COVID-19 350 Rand relief grant. What is the criteria?
The criteria, good morning. The criteria that was pronounced was that, one, the person has to be a South African. Secondly, the other people that would qualify is those that may be registered refugees or permanent residents. Over and above that, the person has to be 18 and they need to be unemployed. But the issue that becomes critical is that the people should not be receiving any other type of grant from government, whether it's from SASSA, which may be a social security grant, may not be eligible, or receiving a UIF grant, or should not also be receiving currently a NSFAS grant. And what we normally would do is to check with SASSA to ensure that the person is not contributing towards pay as you earn.
So I suppose this accounts then for the kinds of delays that we're seeing in the paying out of this 350 Rand grant. The fact that SASSA needs to go back and check on all of this criteria. I mean, 3.2 million people have applied so far, and we're told only 1.2 million out of that number, about a third, has been paid out.
Actually, the numbers have since increased. The number of people whom we have a complete application for is 6.9 million people. Oh. And the number of people that qualify in relation to the databases that we've had to go to is 3.2 million people, and we've already paid out 400 million, with us paying daily, because as we take people through the process, once the process is cleared, we pay daily, unlike our normal situation whereby we actually pay once a month.
Hold on, Totsi, I'm going to come in there and interrupt you, please, because I think there's some confusion around the numbers. Just tell us those numbers again. So 6.9 million applications, you said. 3.2 million have been approved, correct? And what is the number that's been paid out?
Yes. The number that's been paid out as we sit today is actually 1.5 million.
So what was the 400,000 you were telling me about?
No, the 400,000 is the people that are going to be paid through a different process, which is through the banking process.
All right. So what's your advice now for people who are sitting at home? I mean, as a start, 350 Rand does not do a lot for someone who is unemployed and who needs to survive. We're now almost on 100 days of the lockdown. But what's your advice to people in terms of their applications, the kinds of things that they need to have there to ensure that SASSA doesn't come back to them to say your application is actually incomplete?
The first and most important is to make sure that when you apply, you put the names in your ID as they appear in your ID, because that's another issue that creates some of the rejections. The second thing is that for those that have already been approved, please make sure that when you give us your banking details, you give us the correct banking details, because some of the banking details are actually getting rejected when we go to the bank because we cannot afford to pay into a wrong bank account. The third issue is when we send you an SMS to ask for information whether you want to be paid in a bank account, or if you don't have a bank account, advise us so, or if you want to be paid through e-wallet, you need to advise us so. Because we have currently about 800,000 people that will send SMSs, and 15% of those SMSs are actually rejecting, which means that they gave us a wrong cell phone number. The other people are not coming back to us to give us the detail of how they need to be paid. The process that we've now put in place is if you don't come back to us, we go to post office, we open a bank account at the back office, and you can go and get your money from there. But again, it means we still need to come back to you, send you an SMS and say you can go with your ID to the post office and draw your funds either in cash or you can take a bank card, and in future you can be able to transact wherever you wish.
So, I mean, Totsi, from what you're saying, it does sound like it's not necessarily down to SASSA, the fact that so many of these applications are yet to be paid. There is an issue around the information that is being submitted by the applicants. I want you to just take a listen to some of what the applicants are saying about their experience when it comes to the grants. We're just going to play some of those sound bites.
Okay.
Good day. My name is Gloria van Heerden. I live in Extension 9, El Dorado Park. I also applied for the SASSA Relief Fund, but apparently I was unsuccessful. I was declined because apparently I am getting an income from some source, which I don't know which source that is. I am unemployed since last year, December 2019. I live with my mother, who is a pensioner. We also have to eat, and it's winter, so we have to go borrow money from people just to get us through the month. When my mother gets her pension, then we must pay the people back. So other people receive the money for the SASSA Relief Fund, but they are also unemployed. But some of us are also unemployed that haven't received, because there's quite a few people that I know that are unemployed that hasn't received the money, and they were also declined. Can you people please get back to us, because we also need the money.
My name is Shamise Williams, and I did apply for this 350 2 months ago, and they did decline me, but I'm not working. So I don't understand why did they decline me.
So, Totsi, you heard there from two women, Gloria and Denise. Both of them declined for the SASSA relief grant of 350 Rand. Both of them, they say, they were told that they are getting an income from somewhere, and they both say neither of them have an income. So, I mean, what's your advice there?
On the one that says she was working until December,
yes,
it therefore means that that person actually qualifies for a UIF grant. So if you qualify for a UIF grant, which is much bigger than what we can actually provide, it means the person needs to go and apply for a UIF grant if she stopped working in December.
Okay.
That's why, because for us, you need to not qualify for UIF or be receiving a UIF.
But I mean, that would also depend on whether your company has been paying UIF, which we've seen in the news over the past few weeks. That has not been the case in a number of instances.
Yeah, I suppose you would have to find out whether your company was actually contributing or not. But I believe there's also another fund that is being created for those people whose companies have not paid, but they had actually been working.
All right.
On the second one, what she needs to do is to actually lodge an inquiry, because what we're going to do now is to actually look at those people that may be sitting in, for example, if she's receiving a child support grant, she would not qualify.
Yeah.
But if it's only mother's grant, it therefore means she qualifies, and that's what we would have to relook at.
But Totsi, I mean, you see the issues here, and these are just two out of probably hundreds of thousands of people who are desperate for this really small amount of relief from government, but they're being pushed from pillar to post. I mean, both of them saying they applied 2 months ago, they've yet to receive the money, and to their knowledge, they do qualify.
Like I say, for all those people that are qualifying, as I indicated earlier, we have been able to reach your 1.5 million people. And as we continue with the process, we will make sure that each and every person that qualifies and that has applied will actually get their money. We know that the process, because of the vetting and validating process, has taken longer, but on a daily basis, we actually are making sure that people get paid.
Yeah.
We also need to make sure at the end of the day we can. The process we use has to be auditable.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we need to do the right thing, but we need to do the right thing by the people also. I definitely agree.
So, Totsi, just before we let you go, what's your rate on average in terms of getting this grant paid out per day? How many people is SASSA able to pay every day?
Yesterday we paid 150,000 people. Today we're paying 250,000 people. So on a daily basis, as we complete the process, we actually do the payout. The month that was a slow month was May, because we had just set up the process, but the process is becoming easier and quicker, particularly now that we have other options in terms of channel. We don't only use your bank account, we use the post office. Yeah. From next week, we're going to be using the banks also, where people can be paid through e-wallet, cash send, or net bank imali, according to what it is that the choice that they actually choose. So now that we've got all these different channels, it's going to be much easier. And I'm sorry that it's taken this long, but we needed to make sure that we use a proper process and governance is built around this, because at the end of the day, we also don't want, when there's a COVID commission, for us to sit in front of the commission and explain about wrong inclusions that we've actually made. I'm sorry about that, but we needed to build a new system for us to be able to do this, whilst at the same time making sure that our current clients, which is the bulk of the money that we pay, which is the 20 billion rents that we pay per month, that also get serviced.
Well, thanks very much for that apology to South Africans who are still waiting for that money. We appreciate it. Totsi Memela is the SASSA CEO. She's focusing on trying to conduct an auditable distribution of the 350 Rand COVID-19 relief grant. But just perhaps a note for those two callers that whose sound bites we played earlier. Gloria, who told us she was declined when she applied for that relief grant. She was last employed in December 2019. The advice there, Gloria, coming from the SASSA CEO, is that most likely you would then qualify for UIF. Even if your company did not contribute to UIF, there is also a relief fund available for instances like that from government. But also just a note to everyone who is applying for this COVID relief fund, really just focus on getting the application right. You have to be South African, you can be a refugee or a permanent resident, you must be unemployed, you cannot be receiving any other government grant. When you do put your name down as it appears in your ID document. Please put down the correct contact numbers as well, so that when SASSA does try to get a hold of you, you are able to get that communication going with SASSA.